So I don't know where Sean is right now. He was supposed to be here. That's what we were told, and that's what we were going to tell the media. Relax, everybody. He's not in rehab, but I am told he's drinking again a lot. Stick with us anyway, though. It's the Hogsty.
Welcome to the Hogsty with your crew, Adam Terrest, Alex Zeese, Sean Conti, and Steve Thomas. And now, here's your host, Sean Conti.
See, that was a whole bit there, because a clue in this.
Yeah, I got it.
I like it.
Hey, everybody, and welcome to a jam-packed Hogsty this week. This is Alex talking to you right now. I've had a fantastic weekend. We built a new website for ourselves at thehogsty.com. I hope everyone goes and checks that out. I'm also happy because I've been told by the Washington Valor my name is going to be on the wall of the Verizon Center somewhere. But with me on this week, we, of course, have Steve Thomas. Welcome back, Steve.
Oh, thanks very much. It's good to be back. I'm struggling with a sore throat here, so we'll see if I can talk for an hour. But one question for you is, how do you know Sean's not in rehab? We haven't actually heard from him this morning.
Good question.
That is a good question. His phone went right to voicemail, so
You're just making an
know.
assumption. You're making an assumption he's not in rehab.
Pure speculation at this point.
We heard from him
I don't think
yesterday.
Sean's as far gone where he needs to be in rehab yet. And, of course, the long-lost Adam is back with us, finally. Adam, welcome back to the show.
Thank you. It's good to be back. Long overdue.
Too, there.
Yeah. Everyone in our show is just doing rehab stints. That's what's going on.
We all have problems.
It's Redskins rehab is what it is.
Yeah, you need it.
That's what I need.
Yeah.
It.
And because of what's going on with the team, let's get right into it. First things first, why don't we talk about the whole Kirk Cousins situation? We said on our last show this would be a big week, and it was a big week for Kirk.
Yeah, well, Kirk Cousins, the Redskins have placed Kirk Cousins on the exclusive franchise tag, and so that means he is, if the tag is signed, he's going to be paid approximately a little under $24 million for the season. Mm-hmm. What the exclusive tag means, there's a bunch of different types of tags. Last year you got the non-exclusive tag, which meant that Cousins' team, meaning his agent, could go out and try to negotiate a trade. But the exclusive tag means that Cousins' side cannot go negotiate a trade. Only the Redskins can negotiate a trade. And the other part of all this is that the magic date to watch out for is July 15th. That is the day at which that's the last day, rather, that the Redskins can sign Kirk to a long-term deal this season. If he does not sign a long-term deal by July 15th, then he plays on the tag if he signs it. Now, if Kirk's going to be obstinate and just not sign anything, what this means is either he plays for the Redskins next season or he doesn't play football.
Right.
In terms of the franchise tag, or the Redskins trade him. So the option does not exist for him to go sign with, the Packers or somebody.
Right. Now, the other big thing was the team was talking with Kirk's agent at the Combine this week. The reports are that the opening offer from Washington was a $20 million a year deal. We don't know how many years or guaranteed money or anything like that. But, I think that's a fair place for them to start. And obviously it's a negotiation. Yeah. Steve, you've been in more than your share. You got to start low and work your way up, right?
Yeah, I thought actually it was I thought it was a little higher than sort of a low ball first offer, to be perfectly honest with you. Now, that having been said, we're really only talking about average annual value.
Right.
That was the number that came out, so we don't know the structure of it. But in terms of average annual value, that's not an offer that's like, we're going to be bargaining hard. Mm-hmm. That's an offer of, we want to get this done quick.
Right.
Because that's not an offer where that's not a real lowball offer and just say, okay, it's up to you to come meet us. Mm-hmm. That's a, we want to get this done thing. That having been said, we don't know about the structure of the guarantee. We don't know how much guaranteed up front, how many, roster bonus we don't know any of that.
And Kirk's agent said, well, the conversation should start at 24. I think that was his response, more or less, in the media.
That's ridiculous.
Well, I mean, he's going off of the franchise tag.
It is ridiculous. Starting at 24
number,
is ridiculous.
Yeah. But I mean, I agree the number's ridiculous, but he's playing better than the Redskins played it. This is what you do for an agent.
Yeah, I mean, the Redskins, they put themselves into this position, so they got no one to blame but themselves. But I think starting at 24 is crazy. I think that's where you settle.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree. Let's talk about this for a minute because, in many respects, the Redskins did put themselves in this box because if you do some basic math, get my slide rule out and I will do some math, and the math will tell me that between 2016 and 2017, if he plays the Redskins, he will have made $44 million.
Right.
All of it guaranteed. Now, if we had signed him to a contract prior to the 2016 season, what we probably would have seen is a guarantee somewhere in the $40 million range. Mm-hmm. And he would have been
over 4 or 5 years, too, not just.
Yeah. Well, no, yes. That would have been the guaranteed at signing portion, which probably would have been a combination of a signing bonus and first 2 years salary guaranteed.
Right.
But what we'd have ended up as at year 3, he would have been cuttable, which is exactly where we are now, only we have no security going forward. So that's why people say the Redskins did this to themselves, because they could have had this exact same situation, only with the security of having him signed simultaneously with the option of getting rid of him if they wanted to, and now they don't have any of that. So that's why the Redskins did this to themselves.
Yeah. Well, I don't know if there's anything else we can add on this situation. It's just one that fans have to keep watching. I mean, it makes for a lot of good chatter on the sports talk radio side.
There's a lot we can add to this. I mean, number one, the rumors are out there that Kirk Cousins doesn't want to play for the Redskins. We've heard that. We've heard he wants to go, he wants to consider the 49ers. There was the rumor of the 3-team trade that Ian Rappaport put out that involved
I forgot all about that
the
shit.
Dallas Cowboys and the 49ers, and that had Redskins fandom up in arms predictably because the trade
that would be the worst trade we could make too.
Yeah, it would never happen.
I mean,
it would never happen. They would just wait for Romo to be released. If they truly wanted him, there's no way they'd pick up that money with the trade.
But the deal generally is, look, if Cousins does not, if he's just mad at the situation, doesn't want to play for the Redskins, the play is to sign the franchise tag and then just refuse to sign a long-term deal. And then when next offseason comes around, the CBA does allow them to tag him a third time, but the price goes way up, and you're talking over $30 million, and that's just never going to happen for a cap hit. So basically, the general gist of it here is, if you want to kind of read between the tea leaves, most likely is either they sign to a long-term deal between now and July 15th, or Cousins is gone.
Right.
That's kind of the debate. That's kind of the most likely logical way to look at it. And that's why people are, that's why so many Redskin fans who like Cousins are advocating trading him, is for that reason.
Yeah.
Yep.
Now, the one thing I will say, and this is why I don't really pay attention to these, three-way trade scenario things. Bruce Allen did come out and say, we did the exclusive tag because we don't want to trade him. Like that was one of the things he said as the team. And I know GMs lie and, the front office lies, but I don't think they would say that and then trade him. It would be bad for Bruce's credibility with the franchise.
Yeah, I thought the same thing, but then I thought, well, they could just come out after they trade him and say, well, we tried to work out a deal and Kirk just wouldn't come to the table. Yeah. Something like that. And I think that's the tipping point, is does he want to sign a deal with this team? Because at this point, I think either they get a long-term deal done or they have to trade him. I think tagging him and letting him play would be an absolute fumbling of this situation, would be a huge mistake. I think you get picks for him now, or you sign him and commit to building around him.
I agree.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. Yeah, I totally agree with you. And I mean, to me, the fundamental problem is, and I think this is where the Redskins have a problem, is because of this crazy situation they've put themselves in, because this whole deal, with the 2 tags makes the cost go up, right? The problem is, essentially, they have to pay him like a top 5 quarterback, but he's not a top 5 quarterback. He's probably never going to be a top 5 quarterback.
Yeah.
I mean, I know the Team Kirk guys out there are probably going to throw knives at us, but he's not.
Kirk Hive is what it's called now, Steve.
I like
Team Kirk. Right.
Stick with your lingo. It's Kirk Hive.
But can he be like a ranked, if you want to rank a quarterback, maybe 10, 11, 12, absolutely. 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, sure. But he's not an elite quarterback. He's not going to be, and the problem is they're going to have to pay him like that, and that's the source. That's the fundamental source of the hang-up, in my opinion.
Right.
I agree.
Yeah, and I look, it's not our money in the end. But as fans, you have to be concerned because you want to have a complete team to win.
Yep. I mean, and gauging, Twitter and fans, I think that's the big worry is that they tie up all this money into a big contract and, we're only able to go out and sign a free agent or 2 on defense, and that,
that
won't have the same impact. Yeah.
Yeah, and then we have Colt McCoy as a bridge to some rookie, and then you're talking about, the team won't be good for another 3 years, and it really would set the team back. Then what do we do in the draft? Do you try to, draft Deshaun Watson or one of these guys? I mean, if you do that, you're really and truly starting over.
Right. And
so
this is not the year to start over at quarterback. That's the worst part.
Yeah, it's not. And I mean, so do you go with a guy who you sort of know is not going to be great and pay him like he's great, or do you just throw it in the trash and make another effort at trying to find a great quarterback?
When you haven't even had a good quarterback in 20-something years? I mean,
do you settle for good? Do you settle for good or make another gamble on great?
Yeah.
That's a good way to put it.
It's not an easy thing to answer, and luckily neither of us or none of us are Jay Gruden or Bruce Allen or Scott McCloughan, because that people wonder why it looks like chaos at Redskins Park. I think this has a lot to do with it.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah,
and I think this kind of feeds into our next topic.
Yeah, I think so.
Jay Gruden just signed a 2-year extension, and I think that can have a lot of implications for Cousins, so one way or the other.
That puts Jay with 4 years left on his deal for those doing the math at home, and it's 2 plus 2.
Yes. Signed through 2020.
Yeah, which now I know, Steve, you're kind of the big Gruden doubter on our show. What do you think though about this?
Well, I mean, the source of my Gruden doubt was I thought a lot of 2014 was his fault.
Sure.
I thought he was a bad coach in 2004. He was a terrible head coach in the 2014.
He did not do a good job.
And he handled the Robert Griffin thing really badly, in my opinion. It really offended me that he kind of threw him under the bus in public. That was the source of my Gruden doubt. Gruden I wrote a column about this, a month ago?
Yeah, I mean, 2 months ago. Which you can find on the newhogstie.com.
Yes, it was called Lo Siento, Jay. That was the name of my column. I've come around a little bit on him because, results talk, first of all. I mean, we've had 2 winning seasons in a row. The offense, I'm not totally on board with the way he runs his offense, but it's productive, and you can't argue with that. So I'm on board with an extension because I think it will ultimately help with continuity. I don't think he's been bad enough. I think he's improving. I don't think he's been bad enough to deserve to be fired. That having been said, if he doesn't fix the defense, like this year, extension or no extension, he needs to watch out, in my opinion. So I'm on board with it. I think he should have been signed. We can talk about the when and the how is a whole other story.
Yeah. I mean, and I think you brought up the defense, which brings up, I think, the point that a lot of naysayers are going to have, and look for this a lot probably on Sports Talk Radio tomorrow. You're going to have a lot of people saying, well, why didn't they do it right away so that they could have gotten Wade Phillips or one of the premier defensive coordinators? I don't have a reason why they didn't do it. I don't think any of us could understand why they waited till now to...
Oh, I do.
Yeah?
I can tell you the exact answer. Because they don't... This front office under Dan Snyder has never been good at strategic planning, long-term thinking. It's fly-by-night. It's done by emotion. Dan Snyder, he's gotten better as an owner. I think we would all go along with that. Sure. But he's always been an emotional owner. He's not a logical owner. He's a fan from day one. Just to think back, here's a good example of what I'm talking about. Think back to in the middle of the Jim Zorn era, and there was that story that came out about how Snyder, after having drank a lot,
Yeah,
hopped on a plane in the middle of the night to fly to Denver.
I don't remember who it was with him, but it was him and like one other.
I can't remember either.
Owner. They got shit faced drunk on like a fifth of vodka or something, and then they started flying around.
Yeah, well, they didn't start flying around. They flew to Denver to go meet with Mike Shanahan at Mike Shanahan's house.
Right
now, what kind of executive of a multi-billion-dollar company acts like that? And so, does it surprise me that we go an entire offseason, we go an entire defensive coordinator hiring cycle with a lame duck head coach, essentially, and we'll explain that in a minute, and then give him an extension in the middle of the combine when the GM isn't even at the combine. That is classic Redskins, and that is although the result was good,
right? The
process is terrible, and that is precisely why this front office has such a bad reputation.
It's like coming up with the perfect pickup line for a girl when you've already gone home at the end of the night alone. That's kind of how we acted here.
Sort of.
It's not the best metaphor, but work with it. Adam,
what do you think, Adam?
Yeah, what do you think?
I think to a point it was a good call. Like you said, continuity, I think that's really important. I think the timing may have been a little bit to cover up some of the other news that's been coming out, give a little positive light at Redskins Park.
Mm-hmm. I think I think that's about as obvious as it gets, right?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I like Jay as a coach. I think he's grown a lot since his first year. Like, I agree with Steve completely. I do not like the way he handled RG3 or other players, not just RG3. I think he did it with a lot of players, throwing them under the bus. But he's done a good job of knowing what to say, when to say it, how to treat his players, and I think it's obviously worked out because the players love him, from what I understand. And as far as his offense goes, I think it's a good scheme. And like you said, you don't like the way it's run sometimes. I'm assuming you mean in more of a pass-heavy, less balanced sense.
Correct.
I think this year we could see it become more balanced. I think that the pass-heavy was a little more to do with McVay than Jay, if you ask me. Mm-hmm. I think we'll always be a 60-40, maybe 55-45 pass team. I don't think we're ever going to be a huge run-heavy team, but I think we could see a little more emphasis on the run game with Jay calling plays this year.
I mean, I think you're right about that, and I said this before on the show. Look at where we put all the money. We put it into two wide receivers who were, pretty impressive. I mean, they both got over 1,000 yards. Of course, we're going to be pass heavy. I mean, if you're going to invest your money in a spot, then that's where you should rely on your whole offense being. If we go and spend some money on some running backs, I expect us to run more. It's that kind of simple way of doing things.
But Jay doesn't really have a history of that.
No.
So I just don't think it's going to happen. But there's a time and a place to use a run game better than Jay has done. If you're on the 1 yard line, particularly when you have an all-pro left tackle and you have a Pro Bowl right guard, let's run some power.
Right.
Let's run a stunt, for God's sakes. Why not have Scherf stunt to the left, run behind, Trent Williams, and between the two of them and Rob Kelly, they'll get a yard. But we don't see that. What we see instead is these, we'll see a fade to Deshaun Jackson from the 2 yard line, or we'll see, a sweep to the edge with the running backs, and that's kind of my problem. And when you I think a guy like Rob Kelly needs to have 20 carries a game.
He probably does.
And that's the source of my problem with it. But here's the other thing with the Jay Gruden, the Jay Gruden extension, which we haven't really touched on. I think this is please Kirk sign with this move. I think if you ask me, I'm assuming Dan Snyder's in Indianapolis just from the fact that Gruden was signed. I'm assuming. Oh, he is? Okay.
Yeah, he is.
I think this is Dan Snyder and Bruce Allen sitting around Friday night or Thursday night in Indianapolis at some hotel bar going, oh God, what do we do? Kirk isn't going to sign. Let's show him that we have a stable front office. Let's show them that there's stability and continuity in this. I think this all has to do with Kirk.
You mean Kirk?
Yeah, I agree. I think it could go either way, though. Personally, I think it could be going, okay, well, this offense that you succeeded in, this coach that you have a good rapport with, is going to be here for 4 more years. Sign that 5-year contract and know that security's there. But on the flip side, I think you go, okay, Jay, you have 4 years now. Go get a rookie quarterback and see what you can do. I think that mindset could be just as easily attainable.
Yeah, it could be basically a sign Kirk or get the hell out because this guy has 4 more years to fix it. Yeah, you're right. It could be one or the other. I think it's clearly I think it may be a less cover up the Scott McLuhan nonsense stuff, but I think that's part of it for sure. But I think the other half, it has to do with Kirk one way or another. You're right. Maybe they're thinking that. I don't know. But one way or another, big part of this is Kirk for sure.
Oh, sure.
But clearly what they should have done, if they're going to extend him, for God's sakes, do it at the beginning of the offseason. So then we would have had a better shot at some of these defensive coordinators. That's what you said at the beginning, Alex.
Yeah,
it's crazy.
Should have. I mean, the day that we fired Joe Barry, he should have been extended. He should have been extended as a reward for saying, Joe Barry, get out of here.
Yeah, unless Minuski was the plan from day one.
Yeah, well, and if he was, then why not just say that? Like, I'm fine. I would be a lot more okay with the whole situation if they had said, we really like this guy. We're going to make him we're not going to interview 400 other people,
I think the Redskins
never make it easy.
Yeah, I think the Redskins front office cares entirely too much what the fan base thinks and what the sort of the tone and tenor of the media. Why on earth do they care? Do what's right for the team and don't go with the whims of the comments on the insider blog, so to speak.
Well, but do they? Because if they cared about what the fan base thought, then we would have had, press conferences like crazy the last few
They're
weeks.
terrible at press conferences, though.
Yeah. I mean, some
They've
of them
never
are.
been good at.
Certain people. Bruce is not.
Well, who's going to give a press conference right now?
I mean, Jay gave his on Wednesday, his little impromptu thing, right?
They're like in a hallway,
Yeah.
Jay's not a great presser guy either, though.
Well,
I mean, we just talked about
he
that.
doesn't
He's
reveal
not
much.
great at it, but the press likes him, so they always they always come away with positive things from
I'm
him.
not saying they react right.
Yeah.
It just strikes me as this is a desperation move because they know.
Oh yeah.
They know the fans are up in arms. They know the media. Every media outlet, us included, has been saying there's chaos in Redskins Park. And then Alex, you did a GIF on Twitter about a big dumpster fire a couple weeks ago. I think
I do that tweet every couple of weeks, so I don't really know.
But whereas like I said in the beginning, if they'd had a long-term plan, we wouldn't be in this situation.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
I agree. I think to summarize, it's just they did the right thing, but for the wrong reasons.
And at the wrong time.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Well, I mean, so you mentioned the dumpster fire. I guess we got to talk about the dumpster fire this week.
Yep.
Put a big striped red shirt and, a knit hat on Scot McLuhan because no one knows where he is right now. When did this come out? Was it
Well, let's
Wednesday
summarize. Go ahead and summarize, Alex.
Okay.
Summarize with the issue.
Well, some point this week, I believe it was Thursday, one of the reporters finally got around to asking, where is Scot McLuhan? Because everyone was at the Combine. All the reporters are at the Combine, or half the reporters are at the Combine.
And no Scott.
And they're like, we've seen everybody but Scott. Where is he? And no one would really answer the question at first, which was weird. Like, from what I read, the Redskins PR staff evaded the question. A very easy question, by the way.
Yeah.
First, we heard Scott was taking family time because his grandmother passed away. Then we heard, there were some people thinking he actually got fired. And then they were saying, oh, no, I don't think he got fired. I just think he's in trouble. This was... Okay, there's two issues in my mind. Why is Scott not at the Combine? And then, oh my God, can Redskins press get control of themselves? Because they all basically soiled their pants with all the rumors. So I don't know which one you guys want to cover more, but I would say those are the two big topics that come together with this whole McLuhan thing.
Yeah, all right. Well, the timeline that the Redskins put out is part of the problem.
Oh, sure. It's a mess of a timeline.
Because I hate to even speculate, but this was put out by the media, and so we'll just need to cover it.
Right.
Scott McGlynn's grandmother, apparently, according to a published newspaper article in his hometown, died on February 6th. And then that same newspaper claimed that her funeral was on February 13th, and from 13th, the 13th. And from the Hog side to the McGlynn family, our condolences to the loss of your loved one.
Yeah. We've all lost family. It sucks.
Yeah, it's terrible. And so a week later, then, the Redskins say he's taking care of this death in the family issue. And so the media immediately looks at it and basically says, wait a minute, it's already done. Mm-hmm. She passed away, unfortunately, tragic. Yeah. And then her funeral's already taken. Yeah, I mean, but the funeral's already taken place. And so what's he taking care of? Mm-hmm. That's sort of what the implication is. And I kind of agree with him. I'm not really buying it. I'm not really buying it because, working under the assumption, say that Scott is sort of the primary person that has to deal with the death of, I don't know what her name was, the death of the grandmother.
Right.
It doesn't take a month to deal with that.
No, the legal stuff and all that, usually it's pretty quick.
And particularly when you have a senior executive type who has one of the two most important weekends of the year, and he's not there, and you're going to tell me it's because of a death of someone that happened a month ago?
Right.
I'm sorry, I'm not buying it. I think there's more to the story. I don't know what it is. I'm not going to speculate. I'm not going to be Chris Cooley about it. There were some rumors out there, about people just baselessly speculating. I don't want to get into, frankly. But I think there's another story that we don't know, and it has nothing to do with a funeral of a woman that took place on the 13th of February.
Yeah, I agree. The fact that the funeral took place on the 13th, that's the only thing that I could think of that he would be up there trying to get squared away. And
and if she had some last affairs or something, legal stuff, give him a few more days after that, okay, fine.
Mm-hmm. It's just the timing of it all. Go ahead. It's very, very worrisome. And I'm not hitting the panic button. I'm not freaking out until the smoke clears and, we hear from the team and from Scott what actually happened. But you certainly would like, one of the best talent evaluators in the game to be at this huge scouting combine weekend.
Right.
He has his guys there, and he can obviously go back and, there'll be tape on all these guys, and he's got the numbers, but it's definitely worrisome.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'd like to. There are some fans out there that have been tweeting us and saying, essentially, it doesn't matter. Scott's minimize the effect of the combine anyway, and he can do all this from his home computer. Mm-hmm. Just don't kid yourselves, okay? Do not kid yourselves. It's not good that he's not there. He should be there. Right. Who knows why he's not there? Again, we just covered that. But it is a negative overall event that he's not there. He should be there.
Negative.
He needs to be there.
It would be. I'm trying to. It's not showing up for your job. As somebody who works in the media, like a little bit, the most important thing you can do in that world is you show up, and that's most jobs really. In the end, 90% of it is showing up, as they say. So with Scott not being there, that is a big deal. Don't get me wrong on that. I don't know what I am going to give them a little bit of the benefit of the doubt that he might be dealing with some other family issues.
Yeah, that's entirely possible.
From what
but they didn't say it.
No, they didn't say it, but I believe this was his father's mother. Maybe his dad is going through something serious because of this.
Yeah.
And I don't know about you guys. If someone in my family's going through something, I pretty much drop everything for them if I can.
But here's the thing: the Redskins PR. We love them, and we know some of them. They treat us well, and But from a general perspective, I don't think we got to be fair and honest here, right on the show. I don't think the Redskins PR handled as well at all.
No, I don't think the Redskins PR if they had handled the last few months very well.
Yeah, I think if they had just put out a little statement, weeks ago and said Scott McGlynn's taking a few days off. He's going to unfortunately miss, the combine. It's a family thing, and gotten out in front of it. They would have said, "Where is he?" But it wouldn't have been like, "Oh God, some disaster's fallen Scott. He's fallen off the wagon," which is what a lot of these baseless people are speculating.
Right.
If they had gotten in front of it, we wouldn't have a dumpster fire. It would have been a little tiny fire that would have been out by now.
Right.
That's,
So, and that brings me to the other point, the baseless speculation stuff that has been so bad. I think nobody's been worse probably than Chris Russell when he came out and said McClune was told never to come back to the facility on February 20th.
Yeah.
That's what he was claiming, and McLuhan's wife, I think, tweeted that that's a lie.
Yeah.
The team has said it's a lie. But, between stuff like that he's being fired, or these rumors that he's fallen off the wagon, does the media have more of a responsibility to be responsible here? I know.
I don't know about a responsibility, but they should. I feel like they should take a little more pride and show a little more respect. But I mean, they're trying to get clicks, they're trying to get views.
I guess.
Yeah,
so.
I mean, let's talk about media 101, journalistic ethics 101. Mm-hmm. Journalistic ethics 101 says you have to have multiple sources before you run things.
Right.
And we, for example, without getting into too many details, it's no secret we know some of the Washington Post guys, and what I have learned is that from a Washington Post perspective, they need, I shouldn't say it. I think at a minimum they need at least two sources that confirm the same thing.
Right.
To run it in something like a professional organization like the Post, who tends to not do – the reporters don't do baseless speculation. The columnists will make an opinion.
Right.
But, I think the Post is, better than like Chris Russell. Now, Chris Russell is just a radio guy.
Right.
So he's just going to babble on for hours, and he's not going to have multiple sources that confirm the same thing. He's going to hear one rumor from somebody who probably talks to him, DMs him, emails him, calls him at home, and he's just going to run with it.
Right.
And the idea that Russell throws his garbage out there, without confirming his sources,
right,
is irresponsible. I don't think, like, if you notice, like, Rich Tandler stayed away from it, John Keim stayed away from it, the Post beat writers stayed away from it.
They all got into it as far as saying, "Hey, we found out McLuhan's been MIA," but. Right. They didn't get into any of the speculation.
But none of the professional media guys speculated about it like Chris Russell did. And that's because their media outlets won't let him do that. Whereas Russell is just a radio guy. He's just going to babble on like we're babbling on.
Yeah, they love it.
Yeah.
Yeah. You got to get listeners somehow, right? I mean, to his 0.5 share or whatever he gets on the weekends.
And I said it all badly, but the point is organizations like the Post and CSN Atlantic and ESPN – they need multiple confirming sources before they run with the story, and they clearly didn't have it. Otherwise, they would have run it. Because believe me, I think if the local beat writers could have gotten a story confirmed that they could run that said Scott McLuhan got fired because he's having this relapse, they'd run with it and they'd love it. Because that would get but they couldn't do it because they didn't have it. Whereas Russell is not constrained by those same boundaries.
Right. I mean, I will give Russell, and I guess it was really him and a couple guys at 106.7 who broke the initial story. But at the same time, it's a bad look when you have that kind of thing. Of we're going to speculate on this guy's job when there's nothing, confirmed.
Well, and you're going to speculate about this guy's personal problems, Right. When you don't have the sources to write a story on it. I just think it's bad form. That's why we didn't speculate it on this show, because we don't know. We had no idea. We don't know what the truth is.
Yeah. My personal opinion is that when everything's said and done, it's going to be a lot. It's going to be not quite as bad as everybody talked it up to be. I think in a couple months we'll look back and say, okay, that was scary, but not a big deal anymore. Hopefully, fingers crossed.
I hope you're right. I mean, I've heard several people. Jerry Brewer has said that this looks like McLuhan could be on the way out, but at the end of the season, we'll see. I hope that's not the case, and it is really he's just dealing with something family wise.
Me too.
Kind of the bigger issue, though, I think, in that regard, is who's really the GM here? A traditional structure, as I've talked about before. The general manager of a team handles all things football.
Right.
But he has a boss, and the boss is always the team president, and the team president, being his boss, has veto power over this stuff and will have an occasional input. My experience with this, my personal experience being in the office of a football team, NFL team, is that the president will get involved in the big stuff. If they want to sign a quarterback, the president will say, this is what you negotiate, yes. And that's kind of it. Right. Whereas Bruce Allen, and the GM hires the coaches. The owner and the team president will approve the head coach, but the GM is the guy who really does it. In this organization, Bruce Allen never really ceded the entire GM authority to Scot McCloughan. That's why Rich Tandler on our show, 2 weeks ago, 2 weeks ago,
yeah,
called Scot McCloughan a super scout, because he's not really ever had the authority of a GM. Bruce Allen has retained that, and I think as long as Bruce Allen retains that and does not revert to a true team president, we are going to continue to have these type of problems. Because Bruce Allen should not be a GM. He's a great team president.
Yeah.
Does not need to be a GM.
Bruce Allen does a great job at doing things like fixing up the stadium, which the stadium is better since he got in there. He changes the pants colors, or better than anybody. But I don't need him making football decisions. Let him deal with the other stuff. I'm with you. Maybe he should spend a little more time focusing on Redskins PR, because that's where it needs to be. He needs to be focusing, it looks like.
Yeah, I agree. I think Scott's done a very good job. I mean, more than anything, I think he's helped change the culture of this team. Regardless of what's going on in his personal life, I don't think it can be debated that he's done a good job here, even in a minimized role, if the rumors are true. I mean, I don't see why you wouldn't, if you bring this guy in to do this, you trust him, you should go ahead and just give him the reins.
Sure.
If you're going to trust him with the 53-man roster from a draft perspective, like, go ahead and let him be able to sign the free agents he wants and work through trade talks with you. So I've never been a huge fan of Bruce Allen, and I think he's kind of continuing to do what he's always done.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah. Now, the devil's advocate to this is that, the Bruce Allen draft was 2014.
Right.
And the people who are being negative about it said Bruce's 2014 draft is actually better than Scott's 2016 draft.
Well, you can't judge those classes yet.
Yeah.
No, that's my response to that. It's too early to judge. But Bruce's draft wasn't a disaster.
No, it wasn't bad.
No. There's a lot of good contributors there. But yeah, like you said, it's too early to judge this draft that we just had. For all we know, Doxson could work out and be a 1,300-yard receiver next year. We have no idea. He could also be a bust, but it's just too early.
Yeah, and just a little asterisk on that 2014 class. Bruce did subscribe to McCloughan's scouting service while he was away from a team. So who knows if those were guys that McCloughan scouted for him and said, these would be good fits.
I'm pretty sure they've said Breland was. Breland was one of the guys Scott had on that list of a catch. Yeah.
And don't misunderstand me. I'm not defending Bruce. I'm just saying.
No, absolutely.
That's just the devil's advocate position. I agree with you guys. I mean, I think Bruce is a good team president.
Mm-hmm.
Good business guy. He's got good political connections. Clearly, Bruce is right in the middle of the stadium stuff.
Oh, yeah.
Because for those of you too young to know, or not from Virginia, Bruce's brother was the governor of Virginia. So he's clearly got political connections. He worked. Clearly, Bruce is the one that was involved in the Richmond training camp development
and with
project.
his last name, he is a bit of royalty, not just in Redskins lore, but in Virginia.
Virginia.
Yeah.
Because his father is George Allen, the legendary head coach of the Redskins. His brother was the governor. I mean, he's in a good role, but he just needs to not do the football stuff. Leave it to Scott. Now, the cynic, of course, is that the cynical view of it is that if Scott is having personal issues, and we don't know if he is, and we're not going to guess on it, but if he is, then Bruce is trying to help him by taking some of the duties off his plate.
And if he is, then I would actually say we all would owe Bruce an apology, because that's the best way to handle things, frankly. Because
Bruce is taking a major slings and arrows right now over it, and he's keeping it. If that is true, he's keeping it to himself, and he should be applauded for it. Right. We may never know the answer.
And if they're running their organization right, we'll never know. In that regard.
Yeah, well, if Scott McCloughan is gone in May, we will know.
that is true.
Yeah.
Well, I think we could talk about this stuff all day, but we do have two other topics we want to get to.
Yeah.
First, why don't we get to our poll question this week, Steve? I believe it was about the running backs. I don't remember the actual question, but I know it was about the running backs.
Yeah, it was about running backs. I just thought we ought to have something that's not Kirk Cousins or Scott McCloughan related, so I did running backs.
A palate cleanser, a little sorbet.
Fresh air.
A sorbet. Leave it to Alex to bring up sorbet.
I like ice cream.
the genesis of this is that the Vikings announced they were not going to pick up Adrian Peterson's option, and that the Kansas City Chiefs were going to release Jamal Charles. I believe it was release.
Right.
Yeah. No. Oh God. Don't hold me to it. One way or another, Jamal Charles is on the market. I can't remember if they released him or they're just not going to re-sign him or what the deal is.
Yeah, no, he was released.
But two big-name 30-year-old running backs are on the market.
Right. One being a Hall of Famer and the other one being a Hall of very good guy in Charles. Right. So the question was, the Redskins have a lot of choices at running back. What should the team do about their running back situation? The 4 choices were sign Adrian Peterson, sign Jamal Charles, spend a high draft pick on a running back, or let's roll with Rob Kelly. Mm-hmm. Those are the 4 choices. What do you guys think the public would have voted for?
I think what the public would have voted for is not a challenge, and that's probably roll with Kelly or you know, a draft pick. Because we've seen the over 30 former great running back show here. Well, I can't remember the year, but we had one season where we had Sean Alexander in our camp. We had Clinton Portis, and we had, was it Priest Holmes? It was somebody.
No, it wasn't Priest Holmes.
Was it Larry Johnson?
Yeah, it was Larry
Johnson.
Oh, yeah, it was Larry Johnson.
But it was
Larry
like,
Johnson. Hey
man, we have the 3 greatest running backs from 5 years ago all in camp. We're gonna.
Oh, yeah.
And they did dick for us. So we've seen this over 30, former running back stud.
Larry Johnson didn't even make it out of training camp.
Yeah, and I think Alexander didn't make it the full season.
Yeah, he was banged up.
It was terrible. So I think Skins fans are smart. We know you don't go for a running back over 30 in free agency, and so that's where I'm going to go.
Yeah, all right, I agree. Adam, what do you think?
I'm right with Alex. I think not even high draft pick. I think they're all in on Rob Kelly.
Fat Rob.
Well, as it turns out, you guys are exactly right, and I'm proud of you because you guys normally get it totally wrong and guess the opposite of what the fans think.
Running backs are easy, Steve. I think we all know the running back situation is an easy situation.
52% said let's roll with Rob Kelly. 28% said let's spend a high draft pick on a running back, and we're going to get to that in just a minute because the combine is this weekend. This is the part that surprised me a little bit. 14% said let's sign Jamal Charles. Only 6% signed Adrian Peterson. Personally, if you put a gun to my head and said you want Peterson or Charles right now in 2017, I'd take Peterson.
Oh, of those two, yeah. I wouldn't rely on him to be my number one. I don't know.
I'm not. I'm saying if you make me choose one or the other, I'd pick. I don't know why so many people are down on AP, but personally, if I voted and I did not vote, I would have voted with the roll with Rob Kelly option, as the fans did. Let's go with a few comments here.
Now, Rob Kelly, and I would be okay with them drafting somebody in like the 5th round, but
yeah, this is again, it's a Twitter poll limitation thing. This is at Sean75 bouncing back. Rob Kelly is more than capable of doing the job, especially with the full offseason of training and coming in as a starter. Mike Souza, who's a frequent commenter out there in Redskins land at Don't Hate Debate 2, he says, Matt Jones is still on the team. I'm still riding with my boy. Everybody acts like he's dead. Just wanted to throw that out there that Matt Jones is still on the team, and he's got at least one fan out there.
He has one fan out there.
Yeah, he has one fan.
Well, maybe 2. His mom is probably a fan.
I'm sure Mrs. Jones is still supporting her son. And let's see, at DC Rising 99 says either take Mixon in the middle rounds, Joe Mixon from Oklahoma, Dalvin in the first, I don't think he drops, or stick me with Rob Kelly. So that is DC Rising's fan. Finally, last comment here. We had a lot of comments this week, and please use our hashtag because it's too hard to keep up with them if you don't. Anyway, last comment, Albert Graves at Warrior AG. Everything should be focused on the D side of the ball. And what he means by that is don't draft a running back in the high. Don't draft a running back high is what he's talking about. And don't waste big-time free agent dollars on running backs when we could sign defensive players. And he has a point. I agree with you, Albert. I agree with you wholeheartedly, Albert.
Yep. Yeah, I mean, it's the money ball position these days. It still is.
That having been said, Adam, did you see the running backs run in the combine?
I did.
Dude, Christian McCaffrey blew me away.
Yeah,
I think he would be perfect for the Redskins.
Yeah, my number one running back in this class is Leonard Fournette, and I would be ecstatic if he was there. Yep. But in terms of the offense that the Redskins run, give me Dalvin Cook, give me Alvin Kamara, give me Christian McCaffrey, give me Kareem Hunt. Those guys can run out of the shotgun. They're elusive, play with great balance and vision. And, yeah, I mean, like you said, McCaffrey just blew up the combine. I mean, I knew he was fast. I did not know he was 4.4 fast. I thought he was going to run a mid to high 4.5. I thought he was a more quick than fast guy, but he absolutely blew me away and then proceeded to absolutely dominate every single drill he participated in.
He really did. He looked awesome. And I was a little disappointed in Fournette, just in terms of the combine. And, I'm you're the expert, Adam, but I mean, he was a little overweight. He was a little slower than he wanted. He didn't look good in the some of the receiver drills. He didn't look all that wonderful, on the little tiny, wheel route out to the flat kind of deal. He didn't look great in that.
A couple double catches.
Sure.
Yeah, I had a couple of. I think Fournette needs to be in a team that's going to run him 25 carries, in the A and B gaps, and that's not the Redskins.
Yeah, I mean that's what it comes down to is scheme. But I mean, he ran a 4.51 at 240 pounds. I believe I think I read the fastest 40 of a 240 pounder since 1999.
Wow.
Yeah, except that he's told the media he was going to run in the 4.4s.
He also told them he was going to be there at 225. So.
Oh, did he?
Yeah.
Whoops.
But I mean, people. I mean, I get why they say he's overweight because he's higher than he said he was going to be. But I mean, you look at that man and you tell me he's overweight. I mean, he's an absolute shredded freak. I think he could probably play at 250.
Some people just have a frame where they can put on that kind of weight.
Yeah, I mean,
I brought the whole thing up because after just telling you guys that I agreed with Albert and said let's focus on D. I never thought I would be so impressed with McCaffrey than I was watching him at the combine. I would love to have him on the Redskins.
Yeah.
I still think it's not a wise choice, but I would love to have him. Adam, why don't you let's just start off combine wise. I don't know how to do it. Lead us through a combine talk.
All right, so we are through, well, including today, almost all the positions except for defensive backs. I still have to go back and watch the rest of the linebackers and the second group of D linemen do all their stuff. But just some guys that have stuck out to me. Obviously, the tight end group was absurdly good, the best class that I've ever seen in my lifetime. I think 3 separate guys broke the broad jump record, like consecutively. Bucky Hodges jumped an 11.2 broad jump, and then David Njoku jumped an 11.1 right behind him. I mean, it's just, we've had discussions about taking a tight end in the first. I would be all about O.J. Howard, but I would be very surprised if they don't take a tight end at some point in this draft because it's just insanely deep. I mean, you can get a big-time impact guy in the 4th, 5th round. Other than that, let's see, wide receivers, Cooper Kupp helped himself out, had a great day. Zay Jones did a good job running 4.4. And then Chris Godwin is the one that's really stuck out to me. A lot of guys had him pegged as a mid 4.5 guy, and he came out and ran a 4.42.
Hey, let me stop you right there. One guy that really impressed me yesterday was a small school, under the radar guy was Kenny Galladay.
Yeah,
I thought that
very well.
He ran well. He's 6'4". He ran 4.47 for his second 40.
Yeah.
Averaged out to 4.5. Good hands. Excuse me. Good when I could tell. Good routes. Ran the gauntlet well. He's going to be my watch out for this guy in the NFL pick this year. My sleeper is Kenny Galladay.
He did well in drills. Seems like a natural hands catcher. Like you said, did well in the gauntlet. That's one of my favorite drills because you can really see who just. They don't think about it. They just catch the ball and move, and then there's the people who are really having to watch it into their hands and double catch and stuff like that. But just some more guys I really enjoyed watching. Forrest Lamp, the guard, was easily the best guard at the combine. Came out, ran a 5 flat 40, which is moving for his size. Extremely well on all the drills, very crisp. Everyone expected that. He's a technician.
You think the Redskins will draft Forrest Lamp? He's a mid-first round guy, right?
Yeah, right now I have him pegged as a late first round guy. He's my.
Okay.
My offensive line board is moving a lot these days because I still haven't decided if I'm going to list Cameron Robinson as a guard or a tackle. I think he's a first-round guard. I think he's a second-round tackle. Dan Feeney has done well, but, watching Forrest Lamp perform like that, it makes me consider moving him up. So, I would definitely be all for Forrest Lamp at 17. I think you plug and play him at left guard day one, and that instantly makes us one of the top 2 offensive linemen in the league.
Get rid of Sean Laval in his contract.
Yeah, I think he'll be gone anyways. Some more O-linemen that stuck out to me. Ethan Cooper's a guy who I'd only watched one game on from IUP. Came out and watched him. He ran very well, and he moved extremely well for a guy at 320 pounds. He was very fluid in the pulling drills. He played left and right tackle at IUP, and he's only 6'2", 320 pounds. I have him projected as a guard, and I went back and watched a couple games after that, and he's a guy that I could see us getting in the 4th round, maybe even later than that, and a guy who could come in and compete day one. Other than that, Deion Dawkins is top 5 guard on my board, probably moving up. Tested extremely well, moved very well. He's a versatile guy, super long arms, temple tough. I think he would be a Scott McLuhan guy, definitely a guy that I could see us picking up in the 2nd round. Temple tough, gotta love it.
It's good. It's good today, slogan, right? Alliteration.
It is. They got a bunch of good players this year too. Like you said, running backs. I would be very surprised if the Redskins don't pick a running back in the first 2 rounds. Just from the rumors I've heard and from all the guys that they've been interviewing, I definitely think they pick up one of those guys who ends up slipping out of the first into the 2nd.
I think I agree with you, and I don't know who it is. I also think that Scott's going to draft a receiver in the first in the top half of the draft, because his history is that he does that. And I think this year's group had more team speed, had more speed as a group than last year's group. I think there's a few better prospects. I think one of these receivers is going to be a Redskin, and I think one of these running backs is going to be a Redskin. I think you're right. Scott's that's just his way. I'd love for the focus on defense, but we all know that's just not going to happen.
I agree. And we'll have a better picture of where they're going to attack once free agency gets underway and they sign some guys. But yeah, I wouldn't, as much as Redskins fans hate it, I wouldn't be surprised if they went offense 1st and 2nd round, especially if we end up losing both receivers. I could definitely see that happening.
Hey, by the way, we heard we'll just say this. The Hogsty did hear a little bit of rumor, that hasn't been out there. We did hear, somebody told us. So take this for what you will. We're not saying this is fact, but we did hear the Redskins have renewed their interest in Kenny Britt this year, as a free agent signing, and if they sign, Kenny Britt would be the replacement for Garcon. He's 6'3", right. Plays a lot like Garcon, like Anquan Bolden, has some downfield, ability to get downfield. So if any of that's true, take it for what you will. It's just a rumor. But we did hear that, and so that would be I'd be all for it if Garcon leaves. Maybe even if Garcon.
I hate to lose Garcon, but Britt does. If you're going strictly from a logical standpoint, Britt does make a lot of sense as a replacement wide receiver.
Yeah, in terms of the scheme that we run, he makes his money on crossing routes, deep crossing routes. He can win with leverage, body position. So I think in this scheme he would do very well.
How
especially
right
if
now?
Kirk is still here.
26, I believe.
26.
Wow, that's younger than I thought.
Yeah,
I would definitely be all for bringing him in.
In a way, it's almost like when we signed Garcon 4 years ago.
It's exactly
the same idea.
I didn't mean to throw you off, Adam, though.
Yeah.
Sorry,
oh, no, you're good.
Can you talk some defensive line, maybe? Kama, what'd you see this morning, defensive line?
Oh, man, I love this defensive line class, man. I think there's a bunch of guys that there's some guys that are really good fits. There's some guys that aren't so good fits but have the talent that make you, just want to reach for them. There's guys like Jaleel Johnson, who I watched his tape. I watched 5 games on him the other day, and I was just sitting there every play just going, football player, football player. He's just bench pressing guys off of him. He's probably my favorite player to come in and compete for a nose tackle position for us. Other than that, Caleb Brantley looked very good today, looked very smooth in what I was watching. Obviously, Myles Garrett just absolutely dominated the
He's
combine
going to be
today.
the number 1 overall pick. Maybe he's not going to be a Redskin.
Yeah, unless the Browns just shit the bed. But
right.
Which it is the Browns.
What about? Let me ask you about.
It's possible.
Yeah, let me ask you about Solomon Thomas. Because I know you like Solomon Thomas. I kind of freaked out over it, thinking he's an edge guy because we don't need another edge guy in round 1. But tell me about Solomon Thomas?
I usually don't do comparisons, but my comparison for him would be Aaron Donald, just because of the quickness and hand violence that he plays with.
Mm-hmm.
In terms of just a pure 3 technique, other than Jonathan Allen, he's my number 1 player. I mean, he has an array of pass rush moves. He's insanely quick. I don't remember the exact numbers he ran today. I believe it was something like a 4.6.
He's in a 4.7. Yeah, I think he was like 4.7.
4.7.
Yeah.
But his 10-yard was like a 1.58 or like a 1.6, something like that, which is just absurd for someone at almost 280 pounds. I just see him as, you put him at 3 technique and he's going to penetrate, get you double-digit sacks for most of his career. But I like thought, Myles Garrett, I don't see him being there at 17.
Really? I thought Jonathan Allen looked great too. But let me ask you this. At 17, if the Redskins do what a lot of us want and draft a D lineman, who is the D lineman that you think they could draft at 17 and have it be a reasonably good value? Because I know you and I had this debate over Twitter and disagreed vehemently. So give me, what do you think?
Well, there's a guy, Malik McDowell, who I'm torn on, because you put on his tape and there's plays where he's beating triple teams and getting to the quarterback, throwing people on their ass, rushing from a 7 technique and beating tackles with a speed rush at 6'6", almost 300 pounds. And then there's plays where he comes out and misses with his hands and gets stonewalled, and you're just like, okay, next play. I don't want to watch this guy. But in terms of raw talent, I said this in my draft preview. I think in terms of raw talent on the D-line, only Myles Garrett is more talented than this guy. He's a freakish athlete with incredible power and explosion. I'm skeptical taking him at 17 because of some of the coachability concerns I've heard, but in terms of raw ability, he's absolutely worth the pick at 17. Mm-hmm. Other than that, Caleb Brantley's a guy who, has some motor concerns, but his hand usage and upside as a pass rusher definitely make him an option at 17. Other than that, I would like to, trade back and get some guys. I think the DN talent is up high, and then the value you can get in the 2nd and 3rd rounds is a little bit better. But if I had to choose someone who I think will be there and would be an instant impact, I would go Malik McDowell.
Malik McDowell. Now, sitting here recording this, you and I have not seen the linebackers go yet.
I've just read some numbers. That's all.
Yeah. So, but give us a real, and I don't know, you did do a linebacker preview published already, so give us a little sense of linebackers. The only thing I noticed was that, the top middle linebacker I was aware of, Reuben Foster, got sent home from the combine because he blew up at, the doctor on MedTech or something. But
that's an interesting story. From what I've heard, the team, the doctors were taking absorbently a long time, and players were missing their interviews with team meetings. So I think he got a little heated about that they were, making him miss certain meetings, which he probably handled it poorly, but I'm not going to speculate. I don't know what that situation is, but he's still a top 5 pick to me, so I don't see him being there. My guy is, still my guy, Hassan Reddick. I think he's the guy at 17. If he's there and we pass up on him, it's a huge mistake. Pretty sure he came out and ran a 4.5 today.
He's a quarterback, so, he should be quick.
Yeah,
he's not a corner,
and he's bigger than he was at the
he's
the
up
senior
to 230 now, right?
Yeah, I think
isn't he really he's a linebacker prospect? Alex, you just said he's a corner.
He started out his career as a corner.
Yeah, he was a walk-on safety corner at Temple, and now he's working out with the D lineman. He's still considered an edge guy, which I can see him rushing the passer, but he's going to be a linebacker.
I don't see him as an edge guy even in a 4.3 though. I just don't.
No, not in a 4.3. I mean, if
like
you
really
love him as a pass rusher and fall in love with his athletic ability, I can see you throwing him in at 3-4 outside linebacker. But I think he's the new age linebacker in the NFL. Reminds me of Ryan Shazier, but
I mean, don't get me wrong. I love the guy. I do struggle to figure out how you would utilize him in our defense.
Who's the classic middle linebacker? The Will Compton, only better guy in this draft. Who can be our play
Will
calling?
Compton's Ben Boulware from Clemson, but I don't want to draft him. The pure middle linebacker with good instincts, solid tackler, I'd say, is Anthony Walker from Northwestern. He's a guy who struggled with weight, kind of finding a good playing weight early in his career, but super instinctive, really good tackler, above average athlete. I think he's a guy that you come and throw in the middle in a 4-3, and he's a 100 tackle a year kind of guy.
Now, what round are we talking with him?
I right now I have him. I believe in my draft preview I had him mid-second to mid-third. I think he'll probably end up going top 60.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we could possibly get him. If we get lucky, we can get him in the third round.
Yeah, and there are a bunch of good linebackers that'll fall. Gerard Davis apparently is having some issues with his medical. He's one of my favorite linebackers just in terms of explosion and just the way he plays. He plays angry, but the medicals are a concern. But if maybe because different teams have different medical evaluations. So if some teams think it's not worth it to take him, he can slide a little bit, and then he slides to us in the second round. I like that.
Let's real quick, since we haven't seen DBs yet, so maybe we can save the combine DB talk for next show.
Okay. Good idea.
But real quick, quarterbacks. I mean, hopefully the Redskins aren't going to be in the market for a high round quarterback. But I watched those yesterday. In addition to the big few, Kaiser, Watson, Kubinski. I was impressed by Dobbs from Tennessee. I know he's got some negative analysis out there about him, but I thought he looked really good in terms of his footwork, his movement, his balls. Came off his hand really well. I thought I liked him. I just want to throw that out there. But I know you like Kubinski.
Yeah, Trubisky.
Trubisky, sorry.
Yeah, I mean that's the thing. Who knows? We don't need a quarterback now, but all of a sudden a report comes out we might be looking for a quarterback tomorrow. So.
He's only played 13 games. I mean, how can you draft a guy that high?
Yeah. I mean, I think you look at it, if you're just purely going off this year's tape, Trubisky has some of the best tape, in my opinion. Kaiser is my number one guy, just in terms of pure potential, because I don't think any of these guys are day one starters, except for this isn't super popular. I think Brad Kaya and Nate Peterman are the most pro-ready guys.
Really?
But
I've seen mostly the opposite.
Yeah, I mean, I think they're both very pro-ready, comfortable dropping back. I mean, you watch them yesterday; both of them were very comfortable in the 5-7 step drops, 5 step drops.
I don't think they have the arm. Neither of them have the arms that some of these other guys do.
I'd say their arms equivalent to Kirk Cousins. I think they have a strong enough arm.
Yeah, Peterman is the guy that Mayock kept comparing to Cousins repeatedly yesterday.
Yeah, because I think he's smart. I think what they compare to Kirk is his intangibles and his work ethic, stuff like that. But
the stuff that actually wins football games these days.
Exactly. But I mean, in terms of, I think Watson had the best day at the combine yesterday. I think he looked extremely crisp. His footwork was outstanding. But yeah, I mean, Trubisky, the potential's there. Obviously, he's only started 13 games, but I think he has that natural pocket mobility. He has decent poise, a quick release. I think he'll do well. I think I have a second round grade on him, but I think he'll probably go top 10.
Was I wrong about Dobbs? No.
I thought Dobbs looked very good yesterday. He's the way he looks. Not the baldness, but the way he moves kind of throws you off because he's kind of goofy, has like a whippy kind of release.
Right.
But I mean, he's throwing accurate passes yesterday. Looked pretty good. Looked improved from the Senior Bowl. So I definitely think he's a late round guy that you could get to. And just to wrap up, I think Watson had a good day. Kaiser showed the arm strength, but he's still very raw coming out of that system at Notre Dame. And that coach at Notre Dame did not do him any favors. But I think once you get him in a pro style system, coach him up, he definitely has the highest potential. Yeah, and like I said, if I was drafting a quarterback for the Redskins this year, it would be Brad Kaya or Nate Peterman.
Very good.
I mean, we do need to start grooming a number 2 because I think Colt, he's over 30 now.
Well, Nate Sudfeld is the guy who right now is going to be
Sudfeld.
Yeah, and I have zero faith in him.
How do you know? We haven't seen him do anything. We saw him play in a couple quarters. How do you have no faith in him? I don't know if I have faith in him or not.
I saw enough to know.
Well, in 2 quarters, you've doomed him to a non-NFL career after seeing him play for a total of about 2 quarters of football.
Yeah.
Congratulations, Alex, on your overreaction.
Yeah. Well, I'm also someone who said that Colt Brennan was going to be a star. So, real quick before we go, there was a rumor that Baker will be getting a potential offer this week. You guys mentioned this to me. I didn't really see this, but it was on Twitter, right? Or Instagram?
Yeah, I've seen a couple people verified accounts report that there's been good, positive talks ongoing this week between his people and the Redskins, and I believe I saw 2 separate reports that said they believe an offer will be there on Tuesday.
Okay.
So whether he accepts it or not is there because they've said at least 6 teams are interested in signing him, so he has a market, but. Yeah, it's good news. I think bringing him back would be a good move.
I mean, he was our lone star on the line, so
Well, he's kind of like being king of the fools,
right?
But also, I think you put him on a D line with more competent people, and it takes a little bit of the burden off him, and he's able to do a little more.
I think he's surrounded
there's an
with
upper
talent,
limit. Yeah, there's an upper limit to what they need to pay him, though.
Oh,
if there's a big bidding war, if there's a big bidding war,
like Chris Baker, the franchise deal.
There you go.
Well, I think that does it for this week. It was a crazy week, guys. And sadly, I think for us and for Redskins fans, it's not going to get any calmer this offseason. I think that, good or bad, we're going to have a lot to talk about.
There is no offseason for Redskins fans.
No. Offseason is when we shine, baby. Keep with us, obviously, you out there in Radio Land or Podcast Land. What land are we in? I don't know.
I prefer. Let's be radio. Let's pretend we're in radio land.
All right, we're in La La Radio Land.
There you go.
Keep with us. Keep following us on social media and checking out our website. Since now we have all these great writers writing.
And our new and improved website.
Our
thanks
new and
to
improved
Alex.
website, so I don't have to do all the damn work. We'll see you guys next week.
It's really not about like getting the website to look better. It's just about limiting the work he has to do. That's all it was.
Exactly. I'm a good leader. I delegate.
There you go.
Keep with us,
you may
everybody.
You may regret having me trying to upload stuff to the website.
I already regret having you do things. Bye.
Bye.
All right.